All right. So, kicking off this presentation today, nutrition pre and post workout basics. Just want to I cut this down into a 4 parts just because sometimes information overload, we don't retain any information. I'm guilty of that, and then I ramble on a lot as I am now. Um, but I just want to give you just 4 different things to think about each week as we progress through this workshop, and then have questions. Each 15, 20 minutes, you might not have a question after the presentation, but I just want you to be thinking about everything each week. Like, okay, week 1, we're going to go over macronutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And you hear it all the time, but do you actually know what they are? Yeah, carbohydrate, bread, good. Okay, most of us know that. Protein, milk. Oh, sweet, yeah. But I just want to dig just a little bit deeper to know if how much you are eating. Are you eating the right things? Everybody has different lifestyles, and is that lifestyle choice right for you? I'm not going to be up here preaching this is good, this is bad. I just want to more relay information that I know and to help you make decisions that would be best for you in your lifestyle. So, to get that started, just go over a little background and history from me. I graduated college in 2014 at Southwest State in exercise science. I am currently an NSCA personal trainer. I was also a certified strength and conditioning coach for a couple of years before, and that's not the route that I really wanted to. Got into corporate wellness at Best Buy headquarters. Worked there for I want to say about close to 3 years before the pandemic kind of hit, and my position was up in the air, and I just kind of said, you know what, I'll just take that furlough, get off, and just reevaluate where I want to be in life. And then now I'm at OTF, living my best life is what I like to call it, and get to see people, hopefully achieve goals. Like that's my goal for you guys is for you to get your goals. That's every day. I want to see people getting better, improving their strength, running form, rowing form, whatever it is. If I can get you to be at your best for that 1 hour, hopefully that carries out throughout the rest of your day, month, year, whatever it may be, to reach your highest potential as a human, right? Okay, getting a little deep there. But that's just kind of my background in history. And then, like I said, why I wanted to do this topic is just to relay this information to you. All right, just try to retain it each 15, 20 minutes that we do per week, just so that you can be like, oh, all right, you start thinking about eating, not just be like, oh, I go on the internet and I see this, what this person eats in a day. Cool, right? But that might not work out for you and in your lifestyle, your busy life at this current moment. All right, so this whole workshop, the information presented in this workshop is only going to be for educational purposes only and not intended for medical or dietary advice. I'm not a registered dietitian, and any nutritional information should only be used as a general guideline. All right, so moving on. All right, what is nutrition? Why is it important? So nutrition is the study of how food and drink affects our bodies with a special regard to the essential nutrients necessary to support human health. So basically, good nutrition is an important part of leading a healthy lifestyle. Combined with physical activity, which we specialize at Orange Theory, your diet can help you reach and maintain a healthy weight. So whatever you want to achieve, you can do it, especially with great nutrition. Why? Here's some benefits. Decrease the chance of developing various diseases. Pretty simple. Helps keep a healthy weight, increases energy levels, healthier foods, the better off, more sustained energy you will have. Improves skin health. That is one that we don't see nutrition as, but nutrition doesn't always affect your weight and your energy. It also can play a role in the health of your skin. There's a quick little American Academy of Dermatology study. Foods that contain vitamin C and E, lycopene, and other antioxidants, as well as olive oil, can actually help protect your skin against sun damage. So that's a benefit. And then finally, boost immune system. Obviously, that's a big one. Eating natural and healthy foods organically just helps improve your health overall. All right, macronutrients. What are they? So first one, we'll go with the carbs. Basically, we have demonized carbs as the enemy here, but they are 1 gram per 4 calories. So every gram of carbohydrates that you have, it's always 4 calories, no matter how bad or how good it is. So carbs is that quick fuel. You're trying to start a fire, you put the paper on to ignite that fire and spread quickly, but it goes just like that. Now, next is fats. So 1 gram equals 9 calories, more than double. Now, it's also an energy fuel source. It's like burning wood. It's harder to ignite, but is that longer fuel source and more sustained energy. Finally, your last one is proteins. Now, that is 1 gram per 4 calories as well. Difference with protein, it's like melting metal to reform into the object you want. So you used all of your carbs and your fats in your workout, whatever it is, whatever lifestyle that you live, your proteins are going to help melt that metal and hopefully get to your goals. Right? That sound cool? Okay. Next slide. All right, breaking down carbohydrates. So I'm going to go over each macronutrient now, just go a little bit more in depth, kind of just give you an idea of what one specifically does. This will help carry on into our pre-post workout for the next couple weeks moving forward. So on average, American diets have about 40 to 60% in carbohydrates. That's about 8,000 to 1,200 calories if you're on that 2,000 calorie diet ratio. Some people are lower, some people are higher. So that's something to think about. And there's also different, lifestyles out there. So as far as diets go, so this is just a general guideline. We'll go over a lot of that stuff later in future nutrition workshops. But benefits, providing energy, right? So it's the easiest way, just like I said with the fuel, the newspaper, boom, quick energy, you have it, it's gone. So protecting against disease. Some evidence does suggest that whole grains and dietary fiber from whole foods help reduce your risk of cardiovascular diseases. So that's your fruits, legumes, veggies, the healthy stuff, not your Jolly Ranchers and cake and you know what I'm talking about. So anyways, also fiber may also protect against obesity and type 2 diabetes. Fiber is like one of the best things for optimal digestive health. And even controlling weight. We always think more carbs, I'm going to get more fat. Well, yeah, if you don't use your excessive carbs, if you're eating 70% of carbohydrates in your diet, you could be overeating your calories for the day, right? So your carb calories for the day, or maybe you're eating too many carbs because you're not eating the healthy carbs. So there is evidence that show eating a plate of fruit, vegetables, and whole grains can help you control your weight. So carbs aren't the enemy. It's just picking the right carbs at the right time. Their bulk and fiber content aids in weight control by helping you feel full on fewer calories. More contrary to what low carb diets claim, very few studies show that a diet rich in healthy carbohydrates lead to weight gain or obesity. Just because you're eating carbs doesn't mean you're going to gain weight or obesity. It's just because you're overeating or eating too many. All right, so moving on, typically 3 major categories. I'm going to hit them each one real quickly here. Sugar, we always view sugar as bad, but that's our fruit. Okay, dairy, the added sugar, I got red. Now there's a little blurb after this, and then some vegetables. The dietary guidelines for Americans recommends that less than 10% of calories you consume every day come from added sugar. Nutrition labels now do a very good job of seeing added sugar on their products. So if you ever go to a grocery store and just want to turn around added sugar, you can even search it, go to nutrition.gov. I could send that link out after this today. Just got to remind me. But added sugar is one of the worst things for our body. Our body doesn't know what to do with it. It's just oh yeah, here, store it. It's not usable. So be aware of added sugar. Even I would say less than 10%. I would say that's even too high. I would say 5. Added sugar is the enemy of the American diet. And then starch. starchy. You always think starch is bad, right? It's not necessarily. Legumes, plants, beans, potatoes, veggies also, beets can be sugar, starchy, corn and potatoes, or are non-starchy, which is like our leafy greens. So those leafy greens, as far as those go, some have hardly any calories in it. All right, so finally the last category is fiber. Plant skin, cover of seeds, apples, pears, oats, and carrots. So what fiber does, this is a great metaphor. Fiber basically changes the way we digest. It slows down the process of breaking down that sugar. It doesn't have that same spike in our glucose or our blood sugar. One great example is when I eat an apple, the fiber on the skin actually controls the sugar in the apple and helps sustain that energy. If I drink apple juice, I will immediately get that spike of sugar. So in general, in a diet, you'd rather have that apple than apple juice, unless you are super low on sugar, about ready to pass out, or need it for diabetic reasons. Then the apple juice would be a better source of energy. Okay, moving on to the next macronutrient, breaking down fats. So a lot of us, we think fat is the enemy, right? We say, oh, I want to lose fat. Well, you don't eat fat to get fat, okay? So fat is essential for our body. Most people, American diets contain about 20 to 40% of fats. Again, on that average 2,000 calorie diet, that's about 400 to 800 calories. Moderations and portions. That is the perfect thing for fat, right? Moderate everything in life. Moderate. Just because it's great for you doesn't mean you need too much of it. We can have too much water. We can actually kill ourselves with too much water. You have to drink a lot, but too much water can be a bad thing. So some benefits of fats. Energy. Fat is an excellent source of energy. It provides 9 calories per gram, whereas protein and carbs each provide 4. So if you've heard of like ketosis or the keto diet, that requires about 75% of your diet to be fat. So that is where you get your energy source rather than carbs. That is a significant jump. But again, it's not about how much of that fat you eat. It's about the proportion of the fat in your diet, the macro count, the whole percentage. All right, then hormone and gene regulation. Fats actually regulate the production of reproductive and steroid hormones, as well as genes involved in growth and metabolism. Absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamins A, D, E, and K should be consumed with fat. So if you're taking like a vitamin D drop, it actually absorbs better with or just after a meal of something fatty. So say you have a little meat, for supper, and you're like, oh, I need my vitamin D drops for immunity, right? We've been taking it's been a very popular vitamin so far with this COVID-19, vitamin D. It's actually absorbed in the body better with fat-soluble food or fatty foods or any type of fat consumption. So saturated fats, typically solid at room temp, like butter. That's a great example of a saturated fat. If it gets a little warm in your kitchen or whatever, it melts pretty easily, but it'll always solidify at room temp or below. And it can also be left out for a period of time. It will not go rotten quickly, per se, at room temp. And you can actually even leave it out in open air, and that's okay too. Rather than like an avocado, which is a unsaturated fat, which we'll get to here quickly. You leave that out in open air, and it's brown within like 30 minutes. But anyways, moving on, rambling. Main source is basically from animal, red meat, poultry, and full fat dairy. Limit your saturated fat to about 10% of your fat calories a day. That is on a healthier end. Saturated fats actually raise your good and bad cholesterol at the same time. So not necessarily a bad thing, but they're not great for you, in moderation. Up next, unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fat, that's like olive oil, sesame oil, nuts, and then polyunsaturated fat is like sea nuts, walnuts, fatty fish, and then the quotation marks fish oil. And the reason why I have that next is because omega fatty acids are essential fatty acids for our daily living, the omega-3 and even some omega-6. This actually increases our good cholesterol and lowers our bad, so it can reduce our risk of clogged arteries, heart attack, cardiovascular disease, all that stuff. So fats actually do not always higher cholesterol. You do want to watch that. And then finally, trans fat, avoid if you can at all costs, because it is a processed fat. They take one of these unsaturated fats, they break it down, add something to it. I know the biggest example is like Frostings and Oreos. Okay, so I'm not saying you can't have them, but just watch how many you do have over a period of time, because they can increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. And then finally, on to our last macronutrient, which is going to be breaking down proteins. Americans are short on protein requirements, especially active adults. On average, healthy adults should have about 20 to 40% of your total calorie needs in protein. So on an average, that per 2,000 calorie diet, about 400 to 800 calories is about right for you. And then the benefits of protein, protein helps build muscle, right? Going back to all the way that one of the first slides of melting that metal and molding it into what we want. So if you don't have enough protein, either you're going to take it away from somewhere in your body, like if you're sick, your protein is going to leave your muscles. That's why we lose weight, essentially, is because we're losing muscle mass, fighting off an illness. So improving body composition is another one, because the adequate protein intake will help repair muscle tissue. So if you're leaving class like, oh, that was a great workout, go home, don't eat any protein, say you have like a bowl of cereal, and then like you do your day and you're like, wow, I'm starving, you kind of miss an optimal time to have that protein intake for your muscles to repair. Now you're actually going to be more sore the next day. So in fact, soreness isn't always a great thing, because that also could mean we are malnourished. We're not hitting our daily caloric intake needs. All right, enough rambling. On to the next one. Important for healthy hair and skin. So protein is hair and skin. Again, remember, adequate protein, you'll have like anything, nutrition, better, just everything overall with the body, not just inside, but outside. And then protein is the hardest macronutrient to store in the body. So what that means basically is that there's been studies done where it's like, I can have so much protein, like 2 times than what I should, and my body will actually get rid of it just by going to the bathroom. It doesn't really know what to do to protein. Now, I'm not saying go eat 5,000 calories of protein, right? Anytime you eat excessively, there's a easy way for you to gain weight. But if you're going to overeat on something, protein's the way to go. Fat can be stored. Carbohydrates, excess in fats and carbohydrates can be stored, but protein is the one macronutrient where the body's like, oh, I think we just gotta let this go. Again, there also is some downside effects of overeating on protein, as far as like it can be hard internally on some of your organs. Again, I could spend a whole hour on a lot of this stuff, but short on time here, I'm gonna hustle up a little bit. And then inadequate protein intake can lead to poor immunity, immune cells, and antibodies. Those are actually proteins. So like I said before, if you're not having that adequate protein intake, you are actually taking protein. So if you work out and you don't have any protein, say you eat all carbs and fats, great, good for you. You are taking protein away from somewhere in your body. It doesn't matter where, your body will figure it out and give it to the muscles. So then essentially you are like, oh man, like you get sick, you just get rocked with the flu or anything like that. Well, that's because your protein, I'm not saying this can prevent it, but that could be also, you might be low on your protein. And then finally, essential, we'll break it down, essential amino acids. The human body cannot produce essential amino acids itself, and must receive them through food or supplementation. So as far as foods go, I know it's on that third line, but whole grains, quinoa is one of the best ones, legumes, nuts, seeds, seafood, meat, and animal proteins. And you also hear about complete and incomplete proteins. That doesn't necessarily there's good or bad, but a complete protein like quinoa actually has all 9 essential amino acids. There's like between 7 and 9. There's like 50, but the essential ones, I'm not going to list them off today. But quinoa, there's those complete proteins. Not many out there, but that's one of them. And then like incomplete would just be like, rice and pastas. Those are carbs, but also they do have some protein in there. They don't have all of those essential amino acids. And then finally, a fifth little tidbit for you today. A fifth of the human body is made from protein and amino acids. It is the building block of your body. So you need protein. Can't stress it enough. And then finally, just a little blurb here. Non-essential amino acids are made by the body from essential amino acids, or in the normal breakdown of protein. So basically, it's synthesized by the body. You take your essentials, then your body, with your non-essential amino acids, can turn them into something else. So, all right. Well, that'll do it for today. If you have any questions, the topic for next week will be post-workout recovery and adequate hydration. So moving on to more what I want to talk about with you guys. Something to think about though after this presentation. I know it's a little boring, a lot of information to intake, but just jumpstart yourself with like a food log or a journal app and track what you're eating and drinking. I will say this summer, it was one of the more eye-opening things of I was short on protein. Like I was getting 15%, and I like to lift weights. Like I have a little home gym here. I'm breaking down my muscles every day, and I'm not getting those essential amino acids or that protein for my body to repair. So I was actually losing weight. So just one of those things to keep in mind. Are you having too many carbs, too many fats for yourself? Obviously, there's different dietary needs, dietary lifestyles, whatever it is. It's a fun way just to track and see how many you need. Also, always feel free to reach out to me at my email. Again, there's a lot of information to intake, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have questions on like, I don't even know what to eat. I don't even know where to start. Just shoot me a message. I have a bunch of resources. If you need absolutely something, I think I can help you with that. But anyways, we'll see you all next week, same time, 12:30. Again, topic, post-workout recovery and adequate hydration.